Dear learners, in this class we are going to discuss about bottom-up parsing. In bottom-up parsing, construction of a parse tree for an input string beginning at the leaves, that is at the bottom, and working towards the root, that is the top. So for example, and consider this example. This is your input string. Okay, so we have to derive this input string from this grammar. Normally, when we consider bottom-up parser, it is a process of reducing a string W to the start symbol of the grammar. So this is your string, and this has to be reduced to the start symbol of the grammar. And when we see this, if you wanted to derive this word, normally when you apply rightmost derivation, so we are starting with the start symbol E, and so this E derives T, and T derives T star F, and since this is a rightmost derivation, so we are replacing F with ID. F derives ID, and then this T is replaced with F. So now F is replaced with ID. We got the record string ID star ID, and the bottom-up parsing is leftmost derivation in reverse. That is starting with the word or the input string and arrived at the starting symbol of the grammar. Arrive at the starting symbol of the grammar. So this is our bottom-up parser. And we should understand what is a handle. So this has been explained here. So as I have told you, it is bottom-up parsing is rightmost derivation in reverse. So we'll consider from the string input string ID star ID, and that this ID is replaced with the F. Okay, so this ID is replaced with the F, and then this F is replaced with T. F ID is replaced with the F, and then this F is replaced with this D, and then this ID is replaced with the F. Okay, and this T star F is replaced with T, and T with E. So here actually when we see, so this is how we start from the leaf and then we proceed until we reaches our root node, that is our starting symbol. That is the starting symbol of the grammar. So we start from the root node, we start from the leaf node. Okay, so leaf node is ID, right? So starting from the leaf node, and we are trying to, and we work towards the root. So shift reduce parser, the general idea is to shift some symbols of input to the stack until a reduction can be applied. At each reduction step, a specific substring matching the body of the production is replaced by the non-terminal at the head of the production. So we are trying to find out the substring matching the body of the production. The key decision during bottom-up parsing are about when to reduce and about what production to apply. So a reduction is a reverse of a step in a derivation. For example, if we say in this case, so the reduction is actually, it is the reverse of the step in derivation. In this case, if you will see, this ID is replaced with F, because we know that F, according to the previous grammar, F derives ID. So this substring ID is replaced with F. Similarly, T derives F. So this F is replaced with T. F is replaced with T. And similarly, we know that f derives id, so this id is replaced with f. It is reduced to f. And we know that t star, t derives t star, t asterisk f. So this has been reduced to t, and then we know that e derives t, so this t has been reduced to e. So this is how our bottom-up parsing works, or shift reduce parser. A reduction is a reverse of the step in a derivation. So the goal of the bottom-up parser is to construct a derivation in reverse. We'll see what you mean by handle pruning. As I have already told you, a handle is a substring that matches the body of the production and whose reduction represents one step along the reverse of the rightmost derivation. So this is what we have seen in the previous slide. Right sentential form. So what is a handle is? It is the substring that matches the body of the production. So this id matches with the body of the production. F derives id. So this id will be replaced with f. And now when we see f, so it is replaced with f. And there is another production called t derives f. So this f, it matches with this particular production. So f has to be replaced with t. And similarly, this id, it matches with f derives id. So this id has to be replaced with f. So now we have a substring t star f. So that is matching with the body of this particular production. So replace that with t. So we have replaced that with t. And now this t, it matches with this production. E gives t. So we are arriving at the starting symbol. So now this is our root, and this is the leaf nodes, or this is the leaves actually. So this is the actual word or the string that we wanted to parse using the grammar. So shift reduce parsing. A stack is used to hold grammar symbols. Handle always appear on top of the stack. So when we see the initial configuration, we'll be having stack and input. Initially, dollar will be pushed into the stack, and input starts with the word and the dollar symbol. And when this particular string or the particular word w is accepted as whenever the stack contains the starting symbol. So the acceptance configuration is stack contains the starting symbol and input is dollar symbol. So in that state, we say that that particular word w is an acceptable string for that particular grammar. And in shift reduce parsing, the basic operations are shift, reduce, accept or error. So the same example we will consider id star id. So we are starting with id star id. Okay, so initially we are pushing dollar into the stack. So now the first operation what we are doing is we are pushing this symbol into the stack. We are pushing id into the stack. And now when we see id, so there is a reduce step here, because this id we call that as handle. So what is a handle? It is the substring that matches the body of the production. So it is matching. So now this id is replaced. With f. And now what we are doing is this f again is matching with the production. T derives f. So we are replacing this f with t. So now when we see the grammar, there is no match or there is no handle called t. So what we are doing is, and we are shifting this asterisk. So we are performing a shift operation. So now this asterisk is shifted here. Again there is a shift, that is ID is shifted here. ID is shifted to the stack, and now again there is a match. So F derives ID, so ID is a handle, so that has been replaced with F here. That has been replaced with F here. When we see this T asterisk F, again there is a match, that is T derives T asterisk F. So replace this T asterisk F with T, so that we have replaced, and we know that E derives T, so we are replacing that with E, that is the starting symbol. So now it is in the accept state. So whatever input we have given, whatever word we have given, that is ID star ID, okay, so it is an acceptable string for the particular grammar. And now we'll see another example. Consider the grammar S gives S plus S, and S gives S star S, and S gives ID. Now we are going to see, we are going to perform the shift reduce parsing of for input string ID plus ID plus. So now initially your stack contains the dollar symbol. Push the word into the input buffer. So ID plus ID plus ID. Okay. So here that ID is missing. So ID plus ID plus ID. So that is your input string, and that is your string, input string. Okay, word to be parsed. So that will be pushed into that will be available in the input buffer. And now what we are doing, we are performing a shift operation. So ID is shifted to the stack. Okay, and when we compare this particular handle, so there is a match. Okay, so this ID matches with the production. Yes gives ID, so that has been replaced. So now this ID is replaced with yes, and now we are shifting this plus, we are shifting this plus, or we are pushing this plus into the stack. We are performing a shift operation. So there is no match for S plus, so again we are shifting another variable. Okay, so that is ID. So we are pushing this ID here. So when we see ID is matching with this particular production, so we are just replacing this ID with yes. Okay, so now yes plus yes, yes plus yes, we have so this is a handle because it is matching with the body of the production. So yes plus yes is replaced with capital S. Okay, and now we are performing a shift operation plus, and then again we are performing a shift operation, that is yes plus ID, and now this ID can be matched, or it can match with yes. So this ID is replaced with yes. Yes plus yes is again yes. Okay, so now we have arrived at the starting symbol. So that means this particular word is an acceptable word. And the main drawback of shift reduce parsing is shift reduce conflict as well as reduce conflict. And we'll see example for this shift reduce conflict as well as reduce conflict in the next video. Thank you.